just to give a bit of a peek behind the curtain, this is actually the fourth of 4 videos I'm recording kind of back to back, and I have just gotten a copy of, or physical copy of, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and I'm like very much looking forward to sitting down and playing the game. And then I heard this news that just came out today. EA cancels the Black Panther game and closes the studio. This game has been in development for quite some time. It was talked about quite a bit. It was rumored, a lot of rumors, speculation were going around that this game was going to come out at this point or at that point. There was a lot of chatter going on, and now that the game has been shut down with the actual developers now getting closed, is an extremely unfortunate sight. But it also kind of makes me wonder what happened in the studio that they couldn't have made this game happen. Was it overfunding the whole thing and people not doing as much work? Whatever the deal was, it seems like EA clearly understood that, or at least from their perspective saw that it was not worth continuing development. So let's look into and talk about it. In addition to this being the third round of layoffs for EA this year, that's interesting. But yeah, Electronic Arts is cancelling its planned Black Panther game and shutting down developer Cliffhanger Games, IGN has learned. In an email sent to staff from EA Entertainment President Laura Meal said that these changes, alongside other recent cancellations and layoffs, are being done to sharpen our focus and put our creativity energy behind the most significant growth opportunities. Now, I want to stop and actually provide a little bit of interesting tidbits around how EA currently functions. Basically, EA used to be anything EA related came out of EA. What does that mean? Basically, the way EA currently is you have EA Entertainment and EA Sports, 2 separate entities, but under the EA company still. So basically, both sides aren't able to support each other currently, whereas before they used to. The amount of money that EA Sports games made allowed EA to do stuff like EA Originals, basically. So that's how we got a character like Yanni with Unravel, for example, or the fact that we even got an Unravel 2 from the EA Originals project. The fact that Joseph Fares ended up making games like A Tale of Two Sons, Brothers A Tale of Two Sons. I don't know if that was under EA, but the next game that they made was definitely under EA, which was the one that took place in a prison, and then of course after A Way Out, yeah, there we go. And then the one after that was also EA Originals, which was It Takes Two, and then of course now we've got Split Fiction, which also again was under the EA Originals umbrella. So the thing is that it's worth keeping in mind that the microtransactions and all the other stuff in sports games helped fuel the money to be able to spend on actually publishing other games under the EA umbrella. But basically, because they're now treated as separate entities, both sides need to make enough money to be able to fuel their own failures that they may not have thought of, or be able to fuel indie development and put that under something like the EA Originals umbrella, because the money that was made from a game like Split Fiction only makes like a very small fraction of what is being made on the EA Sports side. But if the EA Sports side doesn't do as well, EA still takes a big hit, like when it did with EA Sports FC last year. That would cause like a financial burden on them, because they got hit real bad. Was it last year or earlier this year, actually? I can't remember exactly, but basically when they were doing their financial results more recently. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of context around EA in that sense, and how EA Entertainment versus EA Sports are being treated differently, and why the success of a sports game can't bring back a project being done by EA Entertainment, because that's just how everything has ultimately been split down the middle. Now, moving on from that, so in addition, let's just kind of go back to the actual story in question. In addition to closing Cliffhanger and cancelling Black Panther, EA is also laying off some individuals on both its mobile and central teams. When asked for an exact number of individuals impacted, EA declined to comment. IGN understands a total of around roughly 300 roles cut last month across. So is less than roughly the 300 roles cut last month across Respawn and EA's fan care teams, but cannot confirm how much. So yeah, that's kind of rough. I think how long does... okay, it's not really that long of an article, because I did go on a bit of a spiel trying to explain EA Entertainment and EA Sports. But yeah, as with past round of layoffs, EA is endeavoring to place affected individuals into roles across the company. The company has made use of the placement program with each round of layoffs in recent years, an effort that remained possible despite the constant team cuts, likely due to EA seemingly drastically increasing headcount on other teams at the same time. EA employed 800 more people as of March this year than it did the same time in 2024. So while they're cutting roles, they're creating roles. So I feel like at least they have... hopefully they have a decent, placement program in place for this sort of thing. But yeah, so yeah, it's just interesting. But yeah, basically the company is focusing on a small handful of franchises moving forward. So I think this is their idea of sharpening focus, being Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends. So it's clear that Titanfall very, very much isn't under that umbrella, unless they want to consider Apex Legends to be under the Titanfall umbrella, or Titanfall being under the Apex Legends umbrella. Sims 4 went free to play more recently. Skate is also going to be releasing free to play, but I'm not looking forward to why that is. And Battlefield is in an interesting position where it's extremely poorly received, and all people want is just another Battlefield 4. Even though Battlefield 4 did release extremely buggy and in an unfortunate state, it still could have done with a little bit of spit polish, if you know what I mean. But yeah, and Miel also reassured that EA will continue to invest in its Iron Man game at Motive and its third Star Wars Jedi game, which is also currently in development, from what I'm aware. Additionally, last year's CEO Andrew Wilson announced that the company would be moving away from development of future licensed IP that we do not believe will be successful in our changing industry. That's interesting. And of course, email doesn't say anything about EA Sports, but this is due to email running EA Entertainment, while EA Sports is a separate division, and that IGN understands that the sports division is unaffected by these changes for now. And so that's, I think, what I was talking about earlier on in the video, that EA Sports is its own separate thing. EA FC, for example, EA Sports UFC, EA, Madden, basically. What else do we have? NHL as well. I don't know if they still make, annual hockey games, for example, but yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, notably, Marvel and EA's agreement for Black Panther was a part of a 3-game deal that included Iron Man and a third unannounced title, so I wonder if that's going to be announced sometime during Summer Game Fest, with Motive leading future Marvel titles. So it looks like what Insomniac is to PlayStation in terms of making comic book games is, I think, what Motive has become to EA, because Motive did a great job with the Dead Space remake. So it's unfortunate to see that they're not working on a Dead Space 2 remake or something like that, which I think would probably be better, but money speaks louder than words, unfortunately, to companies. Miel said that our partnership with Marvel remains strong and our multi-title long-term collaboration continues. Little has been shown of the Black Panther game so far since its announcement in 2023. Though we know of a job listing, it was going to be a single-player action game, action-adventure open-world game. Black Panther was being developed by the newly formed, now closed Cliffhanger Games, and now it's just kind of, really going to a bit of a summary on the roles that were let go of in EA previously, and just a few other little bits and pieces that I'm pretty sure I may or may not have talked about earlier on in the year, if not last year. But this is actually an interesting case of how many people were actually looking forward to this game, because I feel like a lot of people have a lot of Marvel fatigue, and I feel like that's not just in the movie and TV space, but also in the video game space as well, because we're getting a lot of Marvel games, and I'm really, really tired of looking at Insomniac and seeing them as the Marvel games people, because see, a significant majority of the games have just been Spider-Man and now Wolverine, We've got Spider-Man, we had Spider-Man Remastered, we had Spider-Man 2, we had Spider-Man Miles Morales, and in between those games, we just got one Ratchet & Clank game. And to be completely honest, I feel like Ratchet & Clank deserves more love than that, though. I also think that Jak and Daxter deserves more love, but let's be real, Naughty Dog just ain't working on that. But I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about all of this in the comments below. So I pass the question off to you. What do you guys think about all of this? But also, specifically, were you looking forward to the Black Panther game or the Iron Man game that's going to be released soon? That is, if it does get released. Because that would be an interesting thing to see if it'll actually happen. But yeah, with all that being said, however, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year, and also watching till the end of the video is the best thing that you can do for the channel. So with all that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.